Hi guys, good evening. Very good evening. I am your number one online axi.com resource personal for teaching zoology. Vignesh, Balaji, Karthikeyan, all of you, good evening. A very good evening for all of you. So last class we have concluded something about the fishes, the various characteristics and also the classification. Now let us proceed further, something about the migration of fishes. Normally the fishes have the ability to migrate both vertically as well as horizontally. They exhibit vertical as well as horizontal movement. But some fishes exclusively migrate for breeding. Accordingly, we have three different types of migrations. This is nothing but horizontal migration, just for breeding purpose, not for anything else, not for feeding. Accordingly, there are three different types of migrations. One, anadromous migration. Anadromous migration. So it is exhibited by normally the marine fishes, and those marine fishes which live in marine water, they migrate towards the fresh water, either to river or estuary, any other place for breeding. Such a type of migration is exhibited by the fish salmon. The salmon is always moving from marine water towards the fresh water. Such a type of migration is called anadromous migration. And after laying the eggs, the adult is returning back to the marine water. But what about the young ones? After attaining some stage of development, the young ones also returning to the marine water. And that type of migration is called anadromous migration, exhibited by the salmon fish. It is most abundant, you know that one, in Pacific Oceans. Now the second type of migration, catadromous migration. It is exhibited by freshwater fishes. So here what is happening, the freshwater fishes are moving towards seawater. The previous one from marine to seawater, from marine to freshwater, and here the migration is from river or any other freshwater source towards the sea for actually breeding purpose. And one actually fish, it is looking like a snake, what we call this one angula, the eelfish. The eelfish is normally migrating from freshwater, that is from the river towards the sea for breeding. So after laying the egg, the adult is returning back to freshwater, and about the young ones, they are developing for some time and then returning back to freshwater. Such a type of migration is called catadromous migration. So anadromous from marine to sea, from marine to freshwater, and then this one catadromous from freshwater towards the marine water, exhibited by eel. Then, and some fishes are actually migrating on either side, not for breeding. Simply they are moving towards the freshwater from marine and then from marine to freshwater. One fish which is normally called as a brackish water fish, living near the sea, where normally the river meets the sea. And that is what is called the Mugilvoia, or commonly known as the mullet, red mullet, or just we have the silvery mullet or black mullet, etc. And these fishes are always migrating from sea to freshwater, from freshwater to sea. What purpose? So actually they are moving only for feeding and not for breeding purpose. In the previous two cases, we have fishes moving mainly for breeding. But in the case of mullet, it is moving from here and there, from marine water to freshwater, from freshwater to marine water, not for breeding. Simply the movement is exhibited, and here is a fish normally called as the mullet, and it is a brackish water fish found near the sea, where normally the river meets, and there is fluctuation of actually the salinity. What we can see, the amount of salt present in water can be calculated by means of salinity. So salinity is equal to the amount of salt present in 1 kilogram of water. It is about normally 3.6 grams, so we can have 0.36% actually in 1 kilogram of water. So that is called as a salinity. So the animal is exhibiting actually able to adjust with the ranging salinity, fluctuating salinity. So that is called amphidromous migration. So anadromous, then amphidromous, and in between these two I mentioned already the catadromous migration exhibited by the eel. Now isinglass, economic value. See therefore now in the case of fishes we have, I mentioned also in the case of shark, the skin of shark is called shark green, the dried skin. That is being used as an abrasive, I mentioned earlier. And in the product, a costliest product obtained from the fishes, particularly from the bony fishes from the air bladder, and that is called isinglass. So it is a high-grade transparent collagen, a kind of protein, a kind of fibrous protein. Normally we can say also pure gelatin, and produced from actually the air bladders. It is from the air bladders of bony fishes. I mentioned earlier, we have the air bladders found only in the case of bony fishes, not in the case of cartilaginous fishes. And a substance being extracted from the air bladders of certain bony fishes. One example for this one, sturgeon. It is a bony fish. And we have some other groups. This is one example. And that is called isinglass. Nothing but actually a transparent collagen protein. A transparent collagen called as a pure gelatin. So it is of economic value because this substance is being used for the clarification or the purification of wines, beer and vinegar. Clarification or purification. So the word clarification refers to the purification. So it is being used in the clarification of wines, beer and vinegar. It is also used in the preparation of plastics and some special cement. For example, mica. The mica is normally produced in thin, transparent sheets. Mica in thin, transparent sheets being produced from this isinglass, one of the products of fishes. So, shark green, just actually the dried skin of shark used as an abrasive. And so, here isinglass, a substance normally used for the clarification of wines, beer and vinegar. Then the next one, so let's proceed. So far we have completed just the different types of fishes and also the classification and some examples, and also we have about the migration of fishes. Then we have the superclass Tetrapoda. So superclass we have, for example, the craniata, the vertebrata divided into superclass pieces, and superclass 2 Tetrapoda. The previous one we have fins for it, and now this one we have actually the limbs. Organisms provide the limbs as a locomotive structure. So this superclass 2 actually having 4 legs or 4 limbs, hence the name Tetrapoda includes class Amphibia, class Reptilia, class Eels and also class just actually Mammalia. Now let's start with the first class Amphibia. And you know that one, this is an animal which can able to live both in water as well as in land. That is, it is leading a dual life, a double life. And that is the first group of animals which can able to produce sound. You might hear the word, I think so, the croaking sound of frog, to attract actually just the opposite sex. But it is actually because of that sound only, the snakes are finding the place of frog and catching it. And so that is why I mentioned that one, these are all the animals considered as pioneer of true voice production. The voice has been started from this animal group onwards. And now this is not a first actual land vertebrate, true land vertebrate we can say, because this is a transitional form from aquatic mode of life to, that is a terrestrial mode of life. But often they are not considered as actually the true land vertebrates, because they have two life both in water as well as on land. So even they are considered as a defeated group, because they are having legs, one leg in water, another leg on land. That is why that group is also considered as a defeated group, not able to live completely in water and also not able to live completely on land. That is why the group is also called as defeated group. So amphibians are the first animals to attempt transition, just moving actually, shifting from what is called aquatic mode of life to terrestrial mode of life. Now let's see some of the characteristics of these animals, and before let's have something about the evolutionary part, from whom they have evolved. So normally you know that one, we have a period in the Paleozoic era, one period called the Carboniferous period. Some evolution took place during that period. The formation of coal, petroleum, all occurred during that period. That is why it's called as Carboniferous period. But actually this period includes two periods, because in the case of Paleozoic era there are 7 periods. So out of these 7 periods, Mississippian and Pennsylvanian periods together called as Carboniferous period. During this only we have various modifications on land. formation of coal, formation of petroleum, just actually the formation of rivers, formation of mountains, etc. happened. And during that period only the amphibians made their origin. From whom? So they have originated from osteolepid fishes. Osteolepid fishes. So they are nothing but low-finned fishes. I mentioned earlier in the case of lungfishes, they are considered as the uncles of amphibians. The lungfishes are not considered as the ancestral forms of amphibians. The amphibians have evolved from certain organisms, and those organisms are closely related to the lungfishes. That is why the lungfishes are considered as actually the uncles of amphibians. But generally they have been derived, originated from one low-finned fish, normally known as osteolepid fishes, a close relative of lungfishes. So these animals have evolved during the Carboniferous period, and that is why they were flourishing during that period. Hence Carboniferous period, named the Mississippian and Pennsylvanian period, together called as Carboniferous periods. And that period, during that period where we had large number of amphibians flourishing, and that is why it is called as Age of Amphibians, the Carboniferous period. Just like the Age of Fishes, I mentioned the Devonian period is considered as the Age of Fishes, and likewise the Carboniferous period is considered as Age of Amphibians. Now, what are the characteristics of such groups? As in the case of fishes, these animals are also cold-blooded, cannot have the ability to just maintain their constant body temperature. That is why normally they are considered as the conformers, not regulators. So the regulators of the animals have the ability of just changing the ability to maintain their constant body temperature. But the conformers, they have no ability of actually maintaining their constant body temperature. They even changing their body temperature according to the temperature of the surroundings. And such animals are called cold-blooded or poikilothermic or ectothermal animals. Ectothermal animals, they are called as a conformers. Now, you might have observed the frog as well as toad. So, in the case of frog, the skin is normally smooth. This is because of the presence of slimy secretion secreted by the mucus glands. And in the case of frog, in the case of toad, it is rough. That is why I mentioned here the skin is either smooth or rough. So, in the case of frog, we have the mucus glands for the secretion that keeps the skin slimy, helping or assisting in respiration, cutaneous respiration. So, in the case of toad, the skin is rough, and that too the animal has a peculiar gland what is called parotid glands. These parotid glands normally secrete a fluid secretion, and that secretion causes irritation while we are touching. So, thank you Siva, smile evening to you also. So, we have in the case of such animals, if you are taking the frog, the skin is normally smooth in nature because of the mucus gland secretions. And in the case of toad, the skin is normally rough in nature. The reason for that one, we have actually some warty appearance, warty structures are present on the surface of the skin. And that too, we have one gland, what is called the parotid gland, which secretes some secretion. And that secretion is normally causing irritation while we are touching that animal. Then, about the body nature. So the body divisions we have only just actually head and trunk only. The body divisions we have head and trunk only. There is no neck. The animals, you know that one, as I mentioned, employed under the superclass Tetrapoda, they have actually two pairs of limbs. And some cases we have tails also. In the case of tailed amphibians, for example, salamander, in some cases no limbs at all. They are called as actually limbless amphibians. In some amphibians we have tail, and they are called the tailed amphibians. In some amphibians only just we have the limbs and there is no tail, and they are called tailless amphibians. Like that we have so many types, but generally speaking they have the limbs for the locomotion. And tail is present in some, that means we have in the case of tailed amphibians we have tail. Then, now this is the first group you see that one in the animal kingdom which has developed the eyelids. The upper and lower eyelids. The eyelids are movable in nature. And just we have in our case, you know that one we have upper eyelid that is movable. the lower eyelid is immovable. You see that one the quickest contraction where you have means in the case of eyelids only. We can have quickest contraction within a fraction of a second. We can close or open the eyelid, that is eye blinking, and that is normally the quickest contraction of the muscle that occurs in the body. Okay, so there is no external ear loop and there is no passage. Now we have the tympanum, the eardrum. It is flush with the skin. It is present superficially on the surface of the skin, which is considered as a ear part, tympanum, the membranous structure for hearing. Now, about the respiration, a peculiar condition we have to know. It is by either lungs or gills or by skins. In the case of adult forms, suppose you are taking the frog, they have three modes of respiration. One, the pulmonary respiration by means of lungs. Number two, the cutaneous respiration by means of skin. So during estivation, during summer sleep, so when the conditions are not favorable, the animal is actually buried in the sun and respire with the help of skin. So during estivation, what we call this one the summer sleep, while resting, the animal respires with the help of skin. So cutaneous respiration during estivation in the case of frog. So respiration by lungs called the pulmonary respiration. Respiration by the skin is called what is known as actually the cutaneous respiration. And also we have the buccal cavity. The buccal cavity is lined with blood vessels. It is lying very close to the atmospheric air. So that also helps in respiration process, and that is called buccal respiration, the lining of the buccal cavity. So in the case of adults, we have either lungs or the skin or buccal respiration. Pulmonary, cutaneous and buccal respiration, but during estivation there is a summer sleep. In the case of frog, we have skin as normally, that is the mechanism of respiration. So in the case of larval forms, we have gills. In the case of larval forms, we have gills. So for example, the larva, tadpole larva of frog, it contains gills. And even in the case of some adult forms, say an example of tailed amphibians, they have gills even in the adult stage. One amphibian by name Proteus, it is normally blind, living in cave, a blind living in cave salamander. And another one, Necturus, is normally known as a mud pup. So these are all the adult tailed amphibians. In these two cases, we have gills in adults also. Generally, we have in adults either lung, skin or buccal cavity as organs of respiration. But in the case of some organisms, say an example, the tailed amphibian, the Proteus, a blind cave salamander. So this is known for the largest RBC in the animal world. Proteus is known for having largest RBC. Normally the RBCs, you know that one we have smaller in our case also. But this is an animal having the largest RBC, that is the largest one in the animal kingdom, the total animal kingdom. It is blind because animal is living in darkness. There is no need to have eyes for this animal. That is why it is blind in nature. Blind cave salamander. And another one also salamander, the Necturus, a tailed amphibian. It is called as a mud puppy. It also actually doesn't have the eyes. All these animals are normally living near the dark areas. So that is about the respiration is of greater value. So during estivation, summer sleep, the animal is respiring with the help of a skin, that is called the cutaneous respiration. Now, so they have only one chamber for the entry of the excretory, reproductive as well as digestive tract. And that chamber is called cloaca, which opens outside by means of cloacal aperture. There is a single chamber for the reception of the waste products, the reproductive materials as well as the urinary products as well as what we call the undigested waste. There. So there is a relation in due course about the heart. So the heart is gradually evolving from simple to, that's a complex forms. And we have, for example, in fishes we have tubular heart, two-chambered heart. Now, in the case of frog, a slight advancement in heart evolution. There you have, the heart is three-chambered. So the heart consists of normally upper two chambers, that is atria, and only one chamber, what is called ventricle. So it is three-chambered heart. Upper two chambers are called atria, two in number, and the lower chamber ventricle just a single in number. So there is a possibility of mixing of blood, as the ventricle is not separated by means of what is called the septum. There is a possibility of mixing of blood. So in the case of frog, there is only mixed blood that flows through the heart. There is a mixed blood flows through the heart. So, and just imagine that in the case of fishes, it is called what is known as a branchial heart or venous heart, where you have only the venous blood alone. The venous blood alone passes through. Only the impure blood passes through. So in the case of frog, we have the mixed blood. The mixed blood that is both oxygenated and deoxygenated blood actually mixed together. It only flows because we have only one chamber of ventricle. Both the pure and impure blood from the two atria just enter into the ventricle and it is mixed together, and it is a mixed blood that is normally flowing through the arteries reaching different parts of the body. Then one peculiar system also came in the question paper. So normally a hepatic portal system is found in the case of vertebrates. So cloaca, nothing but a chamber which receives the excretory, the reproductive and digestive tract openings. That is what is called cloaca, which opens outside through a single aperture, what is called cloacal aperture. So cloaca is not an aperture, it is a chamber which receives the excretory, reproductive and digestive waste products and opens outside through cloacal aperture. So there is a common passage, we can say, for the reproductive, excretory as well as just the digestive waste products. Now, so in the case of vertebrates, one of the characteristics, we have the portal system. And in the case of fishes, we have the portal system, but in the case of frog, it is well developed. There is also one question came in the question paper, which one of the following has no portal system. So in our case, that is in the case of mammals, there is no portal system. No portal system in the case of mammals. In the case of birds, it is vestigial. In the case of reptiles, it is somewhat developed. Only just what we have the hepatic portal system. And in the case of we have both renal and hepatic portal systems. We have no renal portal system, but we have hepatic portal system, but there is no renal portal system. The renal portal system is normally vestigial in the case of birds, somehow developed in the case of reptilian forms, and in our case we have only the hepatic portal system, that is in the case of mammals. There is no renal portal system. So we have the portal system, one is the renal portal system, another one is the hepatic portal system. That is a very peculiar character found in the case of amphibians, well developed also. Now about the nature of the kidneys. I mentioned already we have three different types of kidneys. Also we have ancestral kidneys, organonephric kidneys, as in the case of mixing. So we have pronephric, mesonephric and metanephric kidneys. So there is no animal with the pronephric kidneys at present, but we have organonephric kidneys in the case of mixing, the case of cyclostomes. So in the case of fishes and frogs, we have mesonephric kidney. In the case of reptiles, birds and then mammals, we have metanephric kidneys. Reptiles, birds and mammals, we have metanephric kidneys. Now what is the nature of the waste product? So in the case of amphibians, we have urea as the waste product. In one character, amphibians are similar to man, are similar to mammals, because we also excrete urea, we also ureotelic animals coming under that category. So amphibians are ureotelic because they excrete urea as the waste product. Then, in the case of tadpole larva, the question arises, what is the nature of waste product in the case of tadpole? It is also an example for biochemical evolution. So the larva, you know that what it is living in what? Normally in the case of aquatic animals, we have the waste product ammonia. So the adult is eliminating urea, that's why it's called ureotelic animals. Whereas the larva, the tadpole larva, before undergoing metamorphosis, the one which is living in water, aquatic in nature, it eliminates ammonia. So it is an example for ammonotelic animal. Ammonotelic, don't forget this one. Then about the cranial nerves. There are 10 pairs of cranial nerves as in the case of fishes. Only in the case of reptiles, birds and mammals we have 12 pairs. Reptiles, birds and mammals we have 12 pairs of cranial nerves. In the case of fishes and frogs or amphibians, generally we can see we have 10 pairs of cranial nerves. Then sexes are separate, the males without copulatory organs. Because the animal is releasing the sperm. Both males and females are actually releasing their gametes into water. That is why there is no need for the males to transfer the sperms into the body of the female. That is why the copulatory organs are absent. No need for it. In all cases of amphibians, fertilization is external. For any fertilization, if it is external, it needs water. It needs water. So, if you are saying fertilization is external, it is a must to have water for that animal to lay the eggs and sperms. So, there actually the fertilization is external, and the animals normally release the sperms and eggs into water, and fertilization occurs in aquatic medium. Then all the animals are oviparous, and the development includes a larval stage, namely the tadpole larva. It has to undergo series of changes and finally gets converted into an adult. And all these changes together called as metamorphosis. There is a metamorphosis. Here is also another question related to physiology. What is the name of the gland and what is the name of the hormone responsible for metamorphosis? So the name of the endocrine gland responsible for metamorphosis here is thyroid gland. You might hear this word, a 10 standard thyroid gland, which secretes one hormone, thyroxine. Thyroxine. So an optimum level of thyroxine is essential for metamorphosis. If it is absent, there is no metamorphosis. You'll see one thing. So in such cases, what will happen if there is no metamorphosis? The larva itself gets converted. It's actually attaining maturity. Without forming the adult, the larva itself is capable of having the development of sex organ, precocious development. Attaining maturity with precocious development. So the larva itself is capable of reproducing if the thyroxine hormone is absent. So normally this thyroid gland is, the release of the thyroxine hormone is very less in the case of marine fishes. The salt normally affects. Though iodine is responsible for the formation of thyroxine, when actually larva is kept in saline water, it will affect the secretion of thyroxine, so there is no metamorphosis. And the larva itself attains sexual maturity, developing the sex organs capable of reproducing. And that phenomenon, neoteny or pedogenesis, will come to later here in this chapter. So animals are oviparous, laying the eggs, then there is a larval stage and develop into, the larva develops into an adult. Now, we have the classification. There are two subclasses in the case of class Amphibia. One class includes only the extinct amphibians, what we call this one Stegocephalia. And another one, the subclass which includes only the living modern amphibians, namely Lis amphibia. That is why I am taking only the living amphibians only, leaving the extinct forms. So the subclass Lis amphibia includes three orders. One includes what is called the limbless amphibians, the second one includes the tailed amphibians, and the third one includes tailless amphibians. Now let's take the first one. The first order is called Gymnophiona or Apoda. So Apoda, the negative border, referring to the absence of limbs. So these are all called limbless amphibians. I will show the figure later. So these are all called limbless amphibians. They are snake-like, but they are not snake. Then how can you differentiate this apoda animal, a limbless amphibian, with that of snake? What is the main difference? So normally in the case of amphibians, you know that when the skin is naked, no scales are formed. But in the case of snake, you can find the scales. Epidermal scales are formed. This is one difference. The second difference in the case of these amphibians, generally speaking, we have glands present secreting mucus. So that is why the skin is always moist. But in the case of snakes, the skin is dry, by which we can identify whether it's a snake or an amphibian. So Gymnophiona, the order, which also calls Apoda, limbless amphibians, which include one animal, what is called commonly Sicilians. They do not have actually eyes. That is why normally, and as it is looking like a snake, it is called Ichthyophis. The animal name Ichthyophis, a blind wolf or Sicilian. As it is leading burrowing mode of life, there is no need for the animal to have the eyes. That is why these animals are called apoda together, apoda without limbs. The second category, Urodela or chordate. Chordate. So caudal, the word referring to the tail. So these are all the tail amphibians, which includes maybe the salamanders, the necturids and proteus. I mentioned earlier one salamander, tiger salamander. I will show the figure. What is called Amblystoma. This is tiger salamander because it has strips, as in the case of tiger. Another one we already seen is Proteus, the blind cave salamander, the one which has largest organs in it. The largest organs in the animal world we have only in the case of Proteus. And another one, Necturus, normally known as the mud puppy, found living in just soil, wet soil. And finally, there is also mud eel, siren or sailor. And that one just actually mud eel. So these are all the amphibians, tail amphibians having the tail. So of these ones actually the salamanders dominate. So normally the tail amphibians are most abundant in North America. That is why North America is considered as the headquarters of Urodela. The headquarters of Urodela, North America, where you have abundance of the salamanders or tail amphibians. Then the last one, Anura. Ura means tail. Animals without tail. Tailless amphibians. So the common examples, you know that one, for example, frog, Rana hexadactyla, and Bufo melanosticus, that is what is called the toad. And also a tree frog, Hyla, and Rhacophoros, flying frog, best adapted for flying or gliding on the surface of the trees. These are all the four examples, main examples. That is the Rana the frog, the Bufo, that is the toad, and we have Rhacophoros, a flying frog, and also Hyla, a common tree frog with a slender body. You will see the pictures. And before that I mentioned already. So in the case of larva of Amblystoma, which is normally called as axolotl, the larva of Amblystoma, the animal name commonly called as a tiger salamander. So its larva is called axolotl. So this larva does not undergo metamorphosis when present in saline water, leading to precocious sexual maturity. Precocious actually sexual maturity. Precocious sexual maturity. It attains precocious sexual maturity. That means it develops sex organs and able to reproduce even in the adult, so even in the larval stage. And such a phenomenon is called neoteny. Maturity of larva and reproduction, and also called as pedogenesis. Pedogenesis is a phenomenon of attaining sexual maturity in the case of larva and itself is capable of reproducing, is called neoteny or pedogenesis. That is observed in the case of axolotl larva. It's also another question. It is best known for neoteny or that is pedogenesis of the tiger salamander larva. Now here is the Ichthyophis. You see that one, it looks like a snake, but you see that one, the skin, slimy. This is because of the secretion of the slime, that is what we call the mucus. So it is a limbless amphibian, though it looks like a snake, and it is called actually that is an amphibian because of two characters: no scales on the body, and second, the skin is wet or moist because of the mucus secretion, by which you can identify whether it is a snake or that is an amphibian. Rana tigerina, the Indian bullfrog. The frog which is normally edible, that is also another question. The edible frog, the common Indian frog, the edible frog is Rana tigerina. It is also called bullfrog of India. So this is a edible frog. That is another question came in the question paper in JIPA. So which one of the following is the edible frog in India? That is nothing but the Indian bullfrog or Rana tigerina. You see the difference between these two things. Here you see that one is warty in nature. And also there is one gland is found here. This is the gland what is known as the parotid gland. The parotid gland of the toad secretes some secretions which are irritating in nature. So slimy, it is not a smooth skin, and this is having a rough skin. That's the main difference. Okay. Now, Hyla tree frog. So it is best adapted for living on trees. You see that one for that the digits and the tips have some swollen pads. They are adhesive in nature. Adhesive in nature. So the Hyla, the tree frog, and actually just an example for a tree frog. And the next one, you see they have webs, and this is also living on trees, but it is normally able to fly, glide on the surface of trees. Rhacophoros, a flying frog, So this is Hyla, a tree frog, and that is a flying frog. So these are all actually some of the examples of frog. The previous one, what I mentioned, nothing but just like animals living on land, provided with moist skin, the common frog, the Indian bullfrog, the edible frog, and the toad having the parotid glands which secrete some secretions which cause irritation. Now these two are the animals living on trees, the Hyla, and it has some swollen pad at the tip of the digits for just a clasp and adhesive device like structure. And now here this is what we have, the Rhacophoros, and that one is normally able to glide on the trees. So these are all some of the examples what we have regarding. And this is the Anlystoma. You see the skin is like a skin of a tiger, having patches. So you can see the stripes as in the case of tiger. That's why it's called tiger salamander. The larva of this salamander is called as axolotl, what I mentioned, responsible or showing what is called the characteristic known as the neoteny or pedogenesis. So these are all actually the characteristics, some of the things related to the amphibians, much I have given I think so on my part. So if you have any questions related to this one, you may ask questions. Now with that I concluded the amphibian or the class Amphibia, that is a tetrapoda. Now let's proceed towards the next class, what we have, the class Reptilia. So again, vertebrata, Gnathostomata. Here we are going to talk about the remaining three classes, Reptilia, then we have apes and also Mammalia. So far we have concluded the fishes as well as the amphibians, the frogs and toads and other things. Now let's proceed here. Another Gnathostomata, group class Reptilia, the third class for Tetrapoda. So this class name Reptilia, that refers to crawling animals. They are able to creep on land. So the creeping or crawling mode of locomotion. These animals have creeping or crawling mode of locomotion. Hence the class is called Reptilia. About referring to what we have, that's a crawling mode of life, or crawling or creeping mode of life. And though amphibians are shifting towards, that is the land, they are not considered as a true land vertebrates, but here the class reptiles includes animals which are the first true land vertebrates adapted fully for terrestrial mode of life. So these are the first true land vertebrates mostly adapted to terrestrial mode of life, unlike the amphibians, because that one a transitional form exhibiting both the characteristics to live on land as well as in water. That is why not considered as a true land vertebrates, though the frogs are living on land, but they are going to water for spawning. So when did they originate? Which period is considered as the golden age of reptiles? So they made their origin during the Paleozoic era, and they attained their dominance more and more in number during just the middle age, what we have the Mesozoic era. So made their origin during the Paleozoic era, where we had 7 periods. Now in the case of Mesozoic era, we have 3 periods: Triassic, Jurassic and Cretaceous. So Jurassic or Triassic and Cretaceous, or Jurassic, Triassic and Cretaceous. These are all the three periods what we have: Jurassic, Triassic and Cretaceous. So, and during that period, even for example the dinosaurs, the golden age of reptiles, actually the dinosaurs are terrible lizards. They made their origin only during the Mesozoic era. So that is why the Mesozoic era is called as the golden age of reptiles. So I mentioned the age of amphibians, the age of fishes. Now the golden age of reptiles, more and more number of reptilian forms flourished during that period, including the terrible lizard. So, and they gradually decreased in number. The next era, what is called Cenozoic era. So they become faded, decreased in number. You see that one, no representative of dinosaur at present, the terrible lizards, all have disappeared because of one or other reasons. So other lizards and other just snakes we have at present, they have decreased number because of changes in the climatic conditions or environmental situations, and also the selection force. Now the study of reptiles is called herpetology. The study of reptiles is called herpetology. Now also we have the study of snake, the study of what is called the lizard. The study of lizard, which is coming under this category, is called saurology. And similarly the study of snakes is called ophiology. So ophiology plus saurology together called as herpetology. Okay, now let's proceed further about the characteristics of this group. As in the case of frog, these animals are also cold-blooded. So fishes, frog as well as reptilian forms, all cold-blooded, conformers. They have no ability of just maintaining their constant body temperature. Now I mentioned already, if you are able to differentiate the scales of fishes and the scales of that is lizards or snakes, namely these reptilian forms, there is much difference. In the case of fishes, the scales are dermal in origin. Dermal in origin. That is mesodermal origin. Dermal in origin, that too from mesoderm. In the case of lizards or snakes or reptilian form, generally speaking, the scales are dry and or actually epidermal in origin. That is ectodermal in origin. That's the main difference between the scales of fishes and also the scales of that is the lizards or snakes or simply the reptilian forms. There you have the scales are moist, here the scales are dry. Epidermal in origin or ectodermal in origin. They are dermal in origin or mesodermal in origin. Then, what is the nature of the skull? So I mentioned already that body is covered by dry and cornified skin. Cornification occurs because of the deforestation of what is called the keratin. And now these epidermal scales we have also found in some cases in the form of plates. For example, in the case of that is testudo, the turtles and tortoises, we have skewed surface, the plates, the body-like plates are formed. So we have either scales on the surface of the body or skews, both have been developed from the ectoderm. Then, what is the nature of the skull? The skull is monocondylic. So except amphibians and mammals, all other three groups, namely the reptiles, birds and fishes, they have monocondylic skull, having only one condyle, one projection for articulation. I mentioned about this one already in the case of frog, dicondylic in nature. In man also we have dicondylic. Two condyles are present, occipital condyle. They are just placed over the axis, the second vertebra for movement. So in the case of reptilian forms or fishes or even the case of birds, it is monocondylic. And the main characteristic feature of the skull, presence of temporal foci. When you are using the word foci, that refers to a cavity. Foramen in the bone is called actually opening. If you are saying what is called foramen, F-O-R-A-M-E-N, that refers to the openings, and fossa, the cavity. One of the peculiar characters by which only the classification has been made. So the main criteria on which the classification of reptiles has been made is nothing but the fossa. This is a question also key. So the classification of reptilian is made based on vacuity, nothing but actually the cavity or fossa. It comes later about the classification. Now what is the nature of vertebra? It is procoelous type, procoelous. I mentioned the case of amphibians, I didn't mention because in the case of frog we have three different types of We have, for example, just procellus, acellus, amphicellus. These are all the three different types of vertebrae found in the case of frog. That's why we mentioned there. But in the case of fishes, I mentioned it is amphicellus, having cavity on both the sides. Now this is the amphicellus type. The centrum, we are studying the case of vertebral piece, the body of vertebra having cavity on either side, concavity on either side. Then it's called amphicellus, as in the case of fishes. And again it is procellus type. That means you have the cavity or concavity only at the anterior side. The posterior side of the vertebra or the centrum is flat in nature. This is what is called a procellus type of vertebra. So we have procellus type in the case of reptilian forms. Then about the teeth. So the dentition, the mode of arrangement of teeth in the body or in the mouth cavity is called dentition. You know that one. And we have the teeth homodont. The teeth homodont. Homo means all teeth are similar, as in the case of shark. Acrodont, pointed. Pleurodont, fused with the bone. So in the case of man, you know that one, the teeth are placed in bony sockets. That is called thecodont. It can be removable. But in the case of pleurodont teeth, normally the teeth are fused with what is called the bone, the jawbone. Such a type of teeth called pleurodont. So the teeth are similar in size or shape. Acrodont pointed and pleurodont fused with the bone. Even if you are taking, for example, the crocodile, it is always fused with the bones. Then about the heart. There is slight advancement here also. The heart is three-chambered with the two auricles and a partly divided ventricle. See that one in the case of these animals. If you are taking the heart, upper two chambers are completely separated. See, this is the lower chamber. So atria, they are completely divided. But you see that one in the case of lower two chambers, the ventricles are incompletely divided. There is a hole here, foramina panisa, through which blood communicates together. That is why it is not considered as a four-chambered heart in the case of reptiles except one animal. So as there is a communication between the left and right ventricle through this opening, the heart is considered as three-chambered, with the two auricles and a partly divided ventricle. The ventricle is not completely divided, the septum is not fully developed, leaving a small opening at the top, not at the bottom, at the top. But in the case of one organism, there is a question also very important one. In the case of crocodiles, the heart is completely divided into four chambers, a peculiar condition. In other reptiles, we have incompletely divided ventricle, that's why we can consider three-chambered heart. But in the case of crocodiles, the heart is four-chambered. Heart is four-chambered. Completely divided four chambers. Upper two chambers are called atria, the lower two chambers are called actually ventricles. So when you have the word foramen, the hole or opening. For example, in the skull we have small openings are found or holes are found through which the nerves and blood vessels are passing. So if it is larger, see, you have for example foramen magnum. So in the skull, in human body, there is a large opening through which only the spinal cord continues behind. The spinal cord continues behind. So any opening found in the bones is called foramen. Fossa, cavity, foramen, opening, through which either the blood vessels or the nerves pass through. In our case, there is a large opening at the base of the skull, what is called foramen magnum, because it is the largest one. So, I mentioned here there is an opening. So, someone asked about biology, there is about the opening found. This is called foramina panisa. Foramen of panisa. Foramina panisa. There is an opening form. This is foramina panisa. There is an opening form actually through which only we have communication. So that is about what we have with reference to the nature of the heart. So there is a possibility of mixing of blood in the case of other reptiles including the snakes, but in the case of crocodile there is a complete separation of heart. We have both pure and impure blood separate. There is no mixing of blood happening there. Okay, now let's proceed to the next one. So there is no separate external openings. We have also, as in the case of frog, there is a eardrum, that is nothing but the tympanum that represents the ear. And about the kidneys, what is the type of kidney? In the case of fishes and frog, we have mesonephric kidney. In the case of reptiles, birds and mammals, we have metanephric kidney. Including human beings, we also have the metanephric kidneys. Then about the nature of waste product. So reptiles and birds, they excrete only one type of waste product, what is called uric acid. The uric acid is a waste product in the case of reptilian forms to conserve water, because they are not drinking more water. So most of the reptiles, also snakes, are found in desert areas. They didn't get water, so there is a scarcity of water. So these animals excrete uric acid as an adaptation to terrestrial water supply to conserve water. So it is a method of conservation of water, because ammonia needs large amount of water, urea needs moderate amount of water, and uric acid, for example, the birds and reptiles, they excrete only just what is called in the form of uric acid, that is fluid in small concentration. It's not urine. The fluid is excreted through this cloacal aperture in the case of reptiles and birds, and that is small amount of uric acid. The pellets, you know that one, uric acid pellets are formed, then accumulated. So in our case, we are eliminating urea along with water, that is called as urine. Then cranial nerves. So in the case of fishes and frogs, we have 10 pairs of cranial nerves. But reptiles, birds and mammals, they have 12 pairs of cranial nerves. Those nerves arising from the brain. But in the case of snakes, there is a peculiar condition. They have only 10 pairs of cranial nerves. 10 pairs of cranial nerves. The olfactory nerves are poorly developed. So that is about the difference between the snakes with that of others. 12 pairs of cranial nerves. Regarding that one, there they have 10 pairs of cranial nerves. Now, so you know that when you hear the word now, the lizards, as with the snake, they shed their cuticle, the skin, the epidermal scales, as what is called the cast, skin cast. Then here, unlike the frogs, the fertilization is internal, happening inside the body. For that, the animals normally have certain structures for transferring the sperm, that means they have copulatory organs. Now, what is the nature of the egg? So, all animals are oviparous, no doubt about it. But they shell the eggs. Those eggs laid on land with the shell are called cladoid eggs. And those eggs which are laid in water without shell, for example, the case of frog and fishes, they are called non-cladoid eggs. So even if you are taking, for example, the shell of crocodile, the shell of turtle, it is normally leathery in nature. The shell is not much rigid. In the case of reptiles, as in the case of hen, or in the case of bird's egg. So here it is somewhat leathery. It is normally, you see that one, you can just press the egg, because the shell is leathery, unlike the eggs of hen, that is the birds. The development is direct, there is no larval stage. Then the reptiles, birds and mammals together called as amniotes. The reptiles, birds and mammals together called as amniotes. The fishes and birds together called amniotes. Anamnios. This is based on the presence or absence of some membranes, what are called extra-embryonic membranes. So what do you mean by extra-embryonic membranes? Those membranes which are developed outside the body of the embryo during development. That's why the name is given extra, outside. So these animals, reptiles, birds and mammals have extra-embryonic membranes found outside the embryo during development for some purposes. So altogether there are 4 extra-embryonic membranes. In some cases we have 4, or in some cases only 3. The extra-embryonic membranes are chorion, amnion, allantois and yolk sac. Amnion, chorion, allantois and yolk sac. Now in the case of reptiles and birds, we have all the 4 extra-embryonic membranes, namely amnion, chorion, allantois and yolk sac. But in our case, we have only 3 extra-embryonic membranes. The yolk sac is absent. This one is absent because we don't have any yolk, that is our food. So, during development in the case of birds as well as reptiles, we have 4 extra-embryonic membranes for some purpose. In the case of human beings or in the case of mammals, we have only 3 extra-embryonic membranes doing some function. Namely, amnion, chorion and allantois only. This yolk sac is absent in the case of mammals. No yolk sac. Now you will see the development. That is why, because of the presence of these yolk sacs, the animals are called amnios. I mentioned earlier the study of lizard is called sorology, the study of snake is called ophiology. Now here is the diagram, the egg inside which we have the embryo development is going on, and also showing the four extra embryonic membranes as it is a reptile. Now the outermost membrane is the chorion. Now this is the chorion. The blue and red together forms a chorion, the outermost covering. You see that all the membranes are found outside the embryo. That's why the name is given extra embryonic. Now this is the embryo. And that is the embryo, nothing but what we call the crocodile embryo. This is the I will take just a crocodile embryo, or you can eat the same type you can see in the case of birds also. So chorion is the outermost covering. Now just behind this one, just you see that word amnion. Amniotic fluid, amniotic cavity, and this one. So this is amnion. The next membrane. And it is a membrane normally covering the developing embryo. Even in the case of, for example, human development inside the uterus of the mother, and normally the child is bathing in a fluid, what is called amniotic fluid, surrounded by what is known as amniotic membrane. So there is a cavity filled with the fluid, amniotic cavity filled with the fluid. So at the time of delivery, what will happen? This membrane ruptures. That fluid is released. That is an indication of parturition or delivery or birth. That is the first indication. Rupture and release of the fluid. And that is the first indication the child is going to be born soon. And here the first outer membrane is a chorion, the second one is amnion. Now the third one, you have what is called allantois. This is allantois. This part, the entire structure, what we have allantois. So it is a bag-like structure. It is concerned with what is called excretion. It is concerned with excretion. So the main function of allantois, even in the case of human being also, that is excretory function. So that is the third one. And in the case of reptiles and birds, we have yolk, the reserve food, the yellow material. And want to get the food from that yolk, the animal normally produces a membrane surrounding the yolk, and that is called the yolk sac. This yolk sac is responsible for the digestion of the yolk reserve food, and the digested reserve food is absorbed by the yolk sac and is connected to the digestive tract through this what is called the yolk stalk. So the yolk is not taken directly by what is called the embryo, and we have the membranous bag, what is called the yolk sac, provided with a large number of blood supply capillaries. Now the food is broken, digested, and the digested food absorbed by the blood capillaries. That one is being transported through this yolk stalk, just a stalk-like structure, to reach the embryo. So these are all the different structures. Don't forget, chorion is the outermost membrane, and then we have amnion, the amniotic fluid only that is bathing the embryo. Allantois' main function is excretion. Yolk sac function is nothing but the digestion and absorption of yolk to supply the developing embryo. So each one has its own. The chorion is protective in nature. It takes part in the formation of placenta in human beings. Choreo-allantoid placenta, what we have in the case of mammals. Now classification. And the classification I mentioned already, this is based on the presence and absence of the vacuity or foci. And out of the 5 subclasses, only 2 subclasses have the living members as well as extinct members. Now subclass 1, Anapsida. This one includes both extinct and living forms. Only one order, maybe the turtles and tortoises, are included under this Anapsida. One order, what we call Chelonia. Then Synapsida. Here we have Ichthyosaurus, actually the animals living in water has been included, all are extinct. Now subclass 3, Diapsida, it is also including, that is the extinct and the living forms. The extinct forms, for example, the dinosaurs are included under this Diapsida. So in the case of just the first one, Anapsida, there are no foci or cavity absent. In the case of the second one, Synapsida, one cavity is formed. In the case of Diapsida, there are 2 cavities are formed. And in the case of Parapsida and also Eurypsida, we have one cavity or foci, but all are extinct. So the living members are included under only two, that is subclasses. One is Anapsida, another one just what we have Diapsida. Now this is actually what we have, the subclass Anapsida. The number of temporal foci absent. It includes only one living order, namely Chelonia, which includes the turtles, tortoises and terrapin. I will tell you terrapin later about turtles and tortoises then in the next class. Then the Diapsida, which has two cavities or two foci, include three living orders. One Rhynchocephalia, only one representative, namely the Sphenodon, which lives only in New Zealand, not anywhere else. Then the second one Squamata, which includes both the snakes and lizards. And finally, just the order Crocodilia, which includes only the crocodiles and then alligators and caviars. And these are all the examples for this Diapsida. I'll show that this is skull alone. Then we'll continue further in the next class. So you see that one, this is the skull. This is actually the eye orbit. This is the eye orbit. And this is what is called the nasal opening. Nasal cavity. So this is nasal cavity and these are all what we have, this eye orbit where the eyes are localized. And you see that one, there are no cavity in the case of Anapsida. And here there is one cavity. Synapsida, there is one cavity. This is a living member. This is not a living member, sorry. This is not a living member, which includes only the extinct forms. Now in the case of Diapsida, which includes the terrible lizards, the dinosaurs which became extinct, and the living three orders, the Crocodilia, Rhynchocephalia, and also the Squamata. You see that one, there are two cavities, two folds. So anyway, the classification in the case of reptile has been made based on the number of foci with or without. So here absent, that's why it's called Anapsida, absence, no foci. So this is the diagram showing actually, that is a diagram showing actually the skull of different reptiles, and that is the basis for classification. So with this I conclude, and you may welcome to ask any questions as someone asked. I am just very much interested in asking questions and also answering for that one. So it is an interaction between you and me that will make you better to clear and also understand the portions. So anyway, thank you for today. The class is complete.